All right. I think that we are live. I think so.
The indicator thingy says we're live.
Okay. So,
Okay.
hi everybody. Sorry for the little wait thingy, but I had to get some food and I don't like trying to eat when on air. I used to, but that was when I didn't really care about my streams all that much because I was, wait, I'm not going to talk about that. I'm not going to talk about that period. Point is, I don't eat now, so I figured I would have my little food. I went to the taco truck that's right by my house and I asked for a beef melita, which is kind of like a quesadilla, and they gave me a fish one. I think because I normally use I normally get the fish tacos, or that's another common thing that I get. But I didn't. And
Fish tacos. Well,
yeah,
we're
they
thinking about different things.
shut up. And I wanted to get the beef one, and then they gave me the fish one, and I was kind of annoyed. So that was just something to really talk about for a second, while hopefully some more people show up. Cause why not show up? So, link this out. You guys might not have a shadow banned social media like I do. I certainly do. It's kind of annoying. Kind of annoying. Oh, and you know what I noticed happening to me today? Just today. So I haven't posted videos since I believe my last stream on Saturday. And normally when I post videos, I lose subscribers. Like I'm very used to that. But it's nice that when I don't post videos, I will usually gain subscribers from people like watching my videos that are older, and I guess they like them and everything. Well, this day in particular, I lost about 10 subscribers. And I'm almost thinking it's because the White House is officially going to be starting to crack down on social media censorship. So they're like, okay, we can't delete his channel and we can't delete his videos, maybe, but I guess we can just unsubscribe everybody from his channel. Because that's what they would do. Because I am on their little list of bad apples. Is where I am. So okay, well, we have a few viewers now. I hope that we will get some more.
Here's hoping.
Yeah, and usually tend to get definitely over 10, 15, 20. So you guys can remember to tweet out the video or something, or the stream, so that maybe we can get some viewers. That would be cool. I am joined today by my friend Wrath of Controversy. He's actually a good old friend from YouTube, but he hasn't been on his stream for quite a while. And we are going to be talking about, mainly I want to talk about Game of Thrones, but we're going to talk about Endgame a little bit. But I actually wrote a script for an Endgame video that I'm going to make about why I think it's BS. So, I don't want to get into Endgame all that much here because I really want to talk about Game of Thrones. So, Wrath, introduce yourself. Say a few things about you.
Okay, so I'm Wrath of Controversy. Used to be an active content creator until about end of the summer of last year. Formerly the co-host of the Cunt Stream. Oh shit! I just said that. I just said that word on your stream. That's good. That's good.
Uh-oh.
Okay, well, bye monetization that already was gone.
It's technically one word, so maybe they won't.
Maybe it won't catch it. Maybe we'll just try to not use that word again.
Does the Cunt Stream still happen?
Yes, it's called the Snatchcast now.
Oh.
Schmeckel actually, I think he deleted the original channel, or he doesn't upload to it anymore, because I know they don't have enough subs anymore to do super chats.
Oh.
So yeah, it's still a thing. Like they still just kind of like try to dabble too much in drama. So like occasionally I'll pop on anymore, but like I don't do a full show anymore with them
Uh-huh.
anymore. Um,
Yeah.
so I'm a
Just for the
Utah
record,
based veteran, probably middle of the road politically speaking, and not like fence sitter, more just like I agree with some concepts that would classify as one side and some would classify as the other anyway.
you're like a
Uh,
libertarian, right?
yeah, libertarian is what I'm closest to, but I don't really think I'm far down enough on the compass to really classify as a libertarian by their standards. I'm more of like the bottom middle right section of the Overton window. It'd be where I would be, and most
Okay.
libertarians find themselves outside of what you typically consider to be the center.
All right. Yeah, and for just in case anyone has not figured it out, he's straight. He's this is not a gay triarchy episode. It has nothing to do with gay triarchy. This is just us talking about pop culture. And in fact, I've been thinking that I was thinking of starting a new channel, and I don't think I don't know if I necessarily am going to, because it's so impossible to get new subs. And I know that some of these videos would probably be pretty good, but I wanted to start a channel, and maybe I'm just going to make the videos for my channel, and it would be called Prince of Pop Culture. And I go through different pop cultural happenings that I have things to comment upon in the type of way that I would be commenting on other things. Because I've never really done that. But I have a lot to say about certain things. I wrote
But
down my Endgame script, and I want to talk about MTV's The Real World and how it was actually cool for the first season and things like that. So,
I actually really want to do. I think my first video back is probably not going to be at all really controversial in the sense of what I used to create. I actually really kind of want to write about bonding. If you've seen that series, and if you haven't, I highly recommend it. It's one of those. I don't really want to go too much into it because I feel like the less you know going in, the better your experience is going to be. Because there is a little bit of like, especially in the pilot, there's definitely some like intentional shock value.
uh-huh.
But
Yeah.
nonetheless, it does have some great character moments and some interesting like a kind of social commentary without really leaning politically
Okay.
too much. It is on Netflix. I highly recommend it. No, I'm not paid by Netflix.
I don't have a Netflix. Do you have any extra slots on yours?
Sadly, I'm actually using my buddies because he uses my
Everyone uses
HBO.
their friend or their parents.
Well,
It's so annoying.
he uses my HBO and I use his Netflix. Otherwise, I
Okay.
would totally hook you up.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Now, by the way, if you haven't already, please hit the like if you want us to get a few more viewers. But let's get into Endgame. So, Wrath and I were actually talking about this a little bit in private. I thought it was trash. I really, really hated it. And it's because I became a mega, mega fan of Infinity War. And I watched it about, uh, 30 times probably, I would estimate. You kind of lose track after a while, but yeah, it was kind of like if I was drinking, and I didn't really want to play video games because you're bad at video games when you're drunk, I would decide that I would watch Infinity War. And then I started watching the fan theories and everything, and I came up with my own fan theory, which is about like what should have happened in Endgame, and it's going to be in the video and everything. I was really just disappointed with, because I'm pretty positive that the Russo brothers were going somewhere with the story, and then like all these things that they had, like loose ends that they had started, were never tied up, and weird things too that like were about Endgame, like Black Panther's friend. I don't remember her name, but she wasn't really in it. They I think they had her on the poster, but like, where's Michonne? Like, where was she?
Yeah, the one played by Michonne. I was actually just watching the Mahler review of Endgame, and so I'm kind of annoyed that I don't remember her name because I just watched that and I watched the Team 4 Star review yesterday. So I'm mad at myself for not remembering. See, I have mixed feelings about Endgame. Now, Infinity War is obviously superior. Like, if you think that Endgame was better than Infinity War, I don't know how to explain it to you. Like,
Yeah.
like
I
there's
don't
just
know. I don't think I would know how to explain to you how to make Eggo waffles.
like I mean, at that point, like I don't think you can follow the instructions on a Pop-Tart at this
Yeah.
point. Like, you're just you're beyond help. Like, I call your caretaker and pay them double. Anyway, but like, okay, so Endgame, I really feel like they were kind of strong armed into a position. Is the best way for me to put it. I feel like they may not have known when they were writing and beginning filming that Captain Marvel was going to happen first.
Mm.
And so I feel like they were like, oh no, Carol Danvers is going to be established already in the MCU, which I think is a bad decision. I think introducing her there and kind of Scarlet Witching her, like Scarlet Witch was in Age of Ultron, where like she's there and she has an impact on the story, but we don't really go into who the fuck she is all that much. Like, and like that in and of itself, I think like her being like, who the fuck are you when she saves Tony, and honestly cutting the Tony Nebula shit in half, like that only needed to be about a minute of runtime, and that was like 10 minutes, I swear.
Another thing
it felt like a fucking eternity that they were just hanging out in there, and I was like, I get that it's supposed to feel hopeless and all that shit, but like,
it doesn't. Yeah.
They wasted time on that.
Yeah. I also was very disappointed with how little. Okay, Nebula was in it a lot, but not anything really interesting. You know, like that.
Well,
actor,
besides the Nebula Network, which makes no fucking sense.
Yeah, but you know, that actress is really an amazing actress.
Oh, she's fantastic.
When you see her, you know, she has that electrifying passion when she gets upset. That's so amazing about her. And there was never a moment, you know, especially when it has to do with her family. And there was never a moment where any of that happened at all. And I was like, what about Nebula trying to get revenge on Thanos for Gamora? Come on. So
I think she had one good scene, and her one good scene was killing herself.
Yeah, but you know, I want to move on to actual Game of Thrones predictions because we don't have a whole lot of viewers. Some people like tuned out, I think, when we started talking about Endgame. So I want to like steer it. Oh, I just closed the watch link. I'm sorry. I want to steer it towards that because ultimately, the thing is about. Oh my god! Come on. The thing is that I really have a lot to say about Game of Thrones in general. Like, I'm one of those people, and I actually have some. I've been watching some fan theories, and it turns out my fan theory seems to be not entirely unpopular. And I mean, this season has been pretty crap, but I've been calling this since the beginning. But what do you think is likely going to happen?
Okay, so I think Jon is definitely going to die. I think Jon is going to call Dany out. Like, I mean, if there was ever a moment where Jon is just like, enough is enough, and like, remember right before he gets murdered by the Night's Watch, the whole like thousands of wildlings will die and join the army of the dead. That whole speech. That's the face we saw on Kit Harington when when Grey Worm lobs that spear into the dude who's already dropped his sword. Like, Jon is fucking burnt out. Like, he's just like,
and
okay,
he doesn't love her
like,
anymore.
this is not right. Well, he doesn't. That part was kind of obvious, is that like he can't ethically allow himself to love her in the last scene that they shared together, where they're like in private. Like, he can't. Like, he just to a northerner, which he still is as far as like culturally speaking, even though he's biologically a Targaryen, incest is just flat out wrong in the North. So like,
I didn't
He,
remember that.
yeah, like he's like, you'll always be my queen. She's like, is that all I am to you? And she tries to kiss him, and he just kind of turns his head to the right, like doesn't let her kiss him.
Were
And
you ever a
stuff.
fan of Star Trek: The Next Generation?
Oh, I loved Star Trek: Next Generation. That
Okay.
was my favorite Star Trek until I really paid attention to Deep Space Nine. Thank you, Razor Fist.
Yeah, I couldn't get into Deep Space Nine just because I think I only really watched the first episode or season. But people say that.
Cisco Dex Q, come on, that was fucking great.
Well, okay, I was actually just gonna talk about Q. Do you remember the episode where there was a person that was like this female who was like a female Q and she was young?
Oh yeah. That was like third season of TNG, I want to say.
Maybe, yeah. I don't remember, but yeah. So she had this funny scene where, of course, she ended up falling in love with Riker because literally every woman on the show falls in love with Riker if they fall in love with anybody.
Unless they're like 1,000 years old, then they fall in love with Picard.
Oh,
and they actually make jokes about that in the movies. He has a tendency for older women, like if they're young and gorgeous, they love Riker. If they're old and somehow like sophisticated, sexy, then they fall in love with Picard.
Okay, but yeah, I mean, he wasn't even really that cute. He was, I mean, I guess he would be the sexiest out of all of them, unless you were into Picard, which I wasn't. My friend would always say about Picard, he would be like, "Yeah, I always just want him to like cradle me like a dad or something."
He has very like dad characteristics, though. He's the father of the show.
Yeah, I think that he was sort of wishing his father was a bit more like that in general. Like, I don't even think it was a sexual thing, even though he is gay.
Anyway.
So there was that moment with the female who was trying to get Riker to love her, the female Q, and she was like, and he was like, "You can't make me fall in love with you," and she was like, "Can't I though?" And then snapped her fingers, and I there was like a little part of me that was like, I wonder if Daenerys is gonna pull kind of some sort of power trip,
Yeah, I could see that. Here's how I see John dying. I think John and Grey Worm are going to go at it. I really do. And I don't think Grey Worm's going to win. I think that John's going to be executed via Drogon after he murders Grey Worm, who's really the last of her friends. Because, I mean, she did at one point trust Tyrion, but I feel like whether it's true or not, she sees Tyrion as staking his loyalties with the Starks, which is ironic if she knew anything about Tyrion. But like all she knows is Tyrion since he went to Essos, which she knew through the grapevine that he had been married to Sansa and all that jazz. So I think that she just sees Tyrion as still in love with Sansa, which I think he might be. Like that's a contingency I'm open to. Like,
yeah, I wouldn't be surprised.
I wouldn't be surprised if Arya drops Dany.
Yeah. Wait. I want to say something about the what you just said. The thing about you were talking about Tyrion and Sansa. I think, okay, well, first of all, it's pretty clear that Dany doesn't really like Tyrion anymore. Like, she's pretty...
Nope, she's pretty done with him at this point.
Yeah, but it's like, he's the only person who's trying to remain loyal to her, so she, like, has to kind of like him.
Well, I mean, but you saw his reactions. Like, we really saw from his point of view, like, the, really kind of like, you've seen Full Metal Jacket, right?
Sure.
You remember how it kind of shows Vietnam from Joker's perspective? Like, how are you shooting all these women and children down? There's like, it's easy. You don't have to lead them as much. Like, so Joker being the reporter kind of character.
I don't remember, but keep going.
Well, Joker is basically more an observer than a participant in Vietnam. And I think that Tyrion's kind of the same thing. I think that Tyrion is no longer even going to try to be loyal from this point. I don't think he can take her side at this point. After she Because I mean, it's obvious she killed thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of civilians. Because around 1 million people live in King's Landing. They've established that throughout the series. Um, so like, I'm pretty sure that Tyrion at this point is done. Like, I don't think anyone who is native of Westeros is on her side at this point.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I don't know if she's gonna have a whole or anybody that's yeah. That's a
Like,
good thing.
basically, unless
She
she
really
brought them
only
from
has
Essos, they're not on her side.
yeah. She really only has Grey Worm, and yeah. A lot of people talk about. Oh wait, I was gonna say about Tyrion and Sansa. I do think that Tyrion probably still loves Sansa. She's really, really pretty, and um,
And she's very strong compared to who she was when he last saw her.
yeah, that's true. That's absolutely true. And she had said that he was the best husband that she had. Um, so, I mean, she only had two, though, right?
Yeah, just him
Yeah.
and fucking Psycho. Which,
Yeah.
by the way, like, even though he is nowhere near the look in the books, because I have read up to the point where Ramsay is introduced.
Uh-huh.
Ramsay is a disgusting person in the books.
Yeah.
He's just fugly as shit. But
Yeah.
but
He's
Iwan
hard,
Rheon
so-
nailed the character. He nailed the personality really well. But anyway, so between Ramsay and Tyrion wins by a mile, which is ironic because he's a third the height of the guy. But I honestly kind of hope, because like the showrunners and members of the cast have said it's a bittersweet ending. I kind of hope it ends up being Tyrion as king. To be honest,
Yeah,
like, I think Tyrion's the best choice, because I think Jon is going to be too emotionally broken if he has to kill Dany, or Dany dies in general. Because I think he does love her, but he can't love her in the way she wants. Like, she's literally getting Jorah zoned by Jon.
What's that?
Well, Jorah Mormont. Remember how Jorah loved her, but she couldn't love him in the same way? I think that he feels the same
that
way
guy.
about Dany.
Yeah.
Is that she's getting the full Mormont. And I honestly, the dumb shit is she did it to herself. I think he could have gone over her being his aunt if she wouldn't have gone fucking psycho like that.
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, she deserves it. Yeah, and I mean, like, it's funny that people like were surprised by this happening after
They've been laying down the groundwork the whole series.
Yeah, they they had the part where she crucified, like, I don't, it wasn't everybody in the town.
153 nobles, or whatever the fuck their thing is, masters. 153 masters, because there was one for each child that was crucified.
Yeah, and it's like, I mean, I'm not gonna say that you should absolutely never do that, but she was advised not to by one of her hands, and she didn't care. And I feel like she's done some other stuff, like,
yeah, Barristan was the one who was trying to talk her out of it. The one who died during the raid by the Sons of the Harpy, the first one before the arena.
Oh yeah, I like that.
Which
guy.
I think Barristan is the one person she definitely should have listened to, because he was, before Varys showed up, he was the closest to the Iron Throne for the longest. In fact, he actually was the closest to the throne longer than Varys.
Yeah, I loved when he got exiled. And he was like, I think, who was he exiled by? It was maybe
Joffrey. It was Joffrey.
Yeah. And he was like the guards, like, maybe like not pulled their swords out, but like got ready to escort him, and he was like,
no, he did draw his sword right before he stripped his Lord Commander armor, because it was armor specific to his title.
And then they pulled their swords, and he was like, "Oh, put them down. Even at this old age, I could cut through all you."
Yeah, and I mean, to be honest, I think Barristan Selmy was probably at that point, because that was before Jaime lost his hand. I think Barristan Selmy was the best chance to take out Jaime in a one-on-one in single combat. Well, him or Lady Brienne would have been the best chance to take on Jaime. because Jamie was known as the best fighter in Westeros. Everyone knew that. But I think Sir Barristan could have given him a run for his money. Maybe not one just because Jamie's like 25 years younger than him. But
Jon Snow could have maybe too.
Maybe, but I mean this was like beginning of season 3 that happened. I mean, Jon had mostly only trained. He hadn't really fought yet. By season 3, he'd only fought like
maybe that's why people
skirmishes.
Maybe that's why people thought of him as the best fighter, because they didn't really see Jon in action yet.
Right. Jon wasn't really battle tested yet, and Barristan and Jamie had both fought in wars and had just shown just laid waste to people on the battlefield.
Well, Jamie was trained by the Sword of the Morning, Arthur Dayne or whatever, the guy that when Bran went back.
Yeah, the guy who dual wielded, that guy.
Yeah. That was like a really good fight scene, which apparently is totally unrealistic. Nobody ever uses 2 swords like that, and instead people will have a short sword and a long sword. Like
right. In your dominant hand, you would have a long sword or a broadsword, and then you would have a short sword in your offhand, and your offhand would be primarily utilized for parrying and riposte. You would mostly strike with your dominant hand, which would be the blade of greater reach and weight.
Yeah, because most people don't have the strength in their non-dominant hand to like actually really wield a full sword. And so, I used to take fencing and kendo, so I know a fair amount about sword fighting. But
I did what the fuck is it called? Hapkido and Taekwondo, which don't heavily emphasize in weapon use, either of those, but they do have some weapon use. Now they're primarily your short martial weapons. They're not really like long blades. I did fencing for a little bit, but it's bloody expensive.
Oh, well, I was like 10, so my parents paid for it, but it was fun. It's really fun. But
I love fencing. I'd love to get back into it. It's a really fun sport.
In case people don't remember what we were just talking about, it was when Bran went back in time and eventually learned who Jon Snow's father was, or mother, father,
mother and father, because it was the Tower of Joy. That whole thing, like up until the last time he goes in, that you don't really see what's going on. Like, I mean, if you'd been paying really close attention, or you watched it all recently, you'd know that he was trying to save Lyanna, his older sister.
So you think that it's going to be Tyrion because he is a Lannister, and so he's going to maybe end up getting the throne if people died or something?
I think he's the most likely to be. I think he's the most likely to be supported by the people, to be honest, because he has a history of governing in the Seven Kingdoms. I think that honestly, Jon, aka Aegon, would not have the support of the Seven Kingdoms if they were to find out who he was, especially after what Dany just did. I think that's only going to further tarnish people's support of him because he showed up with her. But I also think he's going to die before Dany. I think Arya is going to kill Dany after Jon gets executed. I think it might be while it's happening. She's going to be watching. She's going to be paying attention to Jon getting burnt, and Arya is going to freaking Air Jordan like she did with the Night King.
I actually watched a good video that said like how you could have, it was that guy PSA Stitch on his daily channel.
Yeah, I actually really liked his Fix episode 3 video. I thought it was pretty well done.
Yeah. By the way, could you mute yourself when you draw puffs from that?
Oh, my bad.
Yeah, no worries. It's okay. It's just kind of loud. But the thing is that I think that it could have been saved, that episode with the Night King, because this is very true. One of the points that he made in particular was that they should have had a different military strategy. And then what people could have done was taken turns trying to take out the Night King. And so, like, all of the people who died who were pretty good fighters could have came after the Night King, failed, and then it would have been really, really sad because you would have seen that. And then finally, after maybe the forces were depleted, because he had those people, those guys around him, and like maybe some of them could have died and all that stuff, then Aya could have actually attacked him, and it would have been a little bit more believable, and it would have still been very sad, and it also would have seemed like more of an earned victory, because it was kind of just like like kind of a cheap way out. Like it was like it felt like a warp level in Mario or something. It's like, wait,
I don't entirely agree. Primarily because the what's his name? The Undying, the one-eyed dude, from the Brotherhood Without Banners, whose name escapes me at the moment. I think that like it is somewhat earned. Now, I'll agree it's a little bit like the way it was shot and presented was a little bit MacGuffin-y, that she just kind of like pops up out of the woodwork like that. But I do think that like where they set up where like Sir Barrick, that's his name, like sacrifices himself and like holds them back and has like that kind of like, oh shit, that was my purpose moment right before he dies, kind of makes sense. Now, what bothers me is that Melisandre got the pep talk. Like, I would have rather it been Sir Barristan gave her the pep talk. Like, wait, to be honest.
Who gave her the pep talk, are you saying?
Melisandre did. Melisandre was like, what do we say to the god of death? Like,
but I feel like that was a that mysterious person with a mask on, the many-faced god person, or not the many-faced god, but the person who trained her.
Yeah, the Jaqen H'ghar is the only name he really ever has, and then he's no one from there on out.
Yeah, well, no, but I think that who he was is I mean, a lot of people have said this. Apparently, the guy that originally first taught her how to do the sword dancing thing.
Oh, the dancing master, the first Sword of Braavos. I can't remember his name.
Yeah,
that guy. That is one theory I've heard a lot, is that they were all the same person because of the faces and all that stuff. Which, I mean, I'm okay with.
I think it would be cool. It would be cool to like figure out who exactly he was, in that he's actually been doing this type of thing for a while. And because I mean, that's another thing that bugs me about the series, is that a lot of people try to claim that Aya isn't trained enough because really her only training was fighting with the staff with that other assassin female.
Not true.
Yeah, it's like, it's not true. It's like, okay, first of all, she was taught by the really, really great swordsman, and so she did have teaching, even though it was supposed to sort of be dance lessons, but it wasn't. You know what I mean? Like, for sword fighting can easily look like dancing anyway and be essentially the same thing. And then
Syrio Forel is the first tutor's master, and the first tutor she has.
Yeah, and then she practiced every day when she was with the Hound, like that was her thing. She was always going and doing her form things, like trying to make sure she was good. And that was just
plus she gets in multiple skirmishes, whatever the fuck. I'm struggling with the word. During her travels with the Hound, like I think she kills 3-4 people during that time.
And like, okay, maybe the only thing they showed was the staff, but all of those assassins were pretty badass. I'm sure there was a lot of sword training. You know what I mean? It's like
right. Like, I mean,
one component of it. They only showed the one thing, but.
Right. I mean, there's like several episodes where after she arrives at the House of Black and White, where we don't see much of her, but a lot of time transpires. Do you think she was just scrubbing floors the whole time? I kind of doubt it.
Yeah, no, absolutely not. It was just silly. It was totally silly
Yeah,
that people would say that, you know, because like the thing is about sword fighting is that it is something that, I mean, you definitely have to like really do it a fair amount to get good at it. But once you get particularly familiar with a sword, especially at a young age, there is a sort of element of riding like a bicycle, because I studied sword fighting when I was very
well,
young.
yeah, muscle memory.
Yeah, and like once you get used to, you know, the sword coordination and the distance between you and other people and stuff, you know, it's you have it in you forever, you know, and that's the really important part. So yeah, I think Aya deserves to be as good of a fighter as they portray her in the show. I don't think that there's any problem with that, just to be honest.
Right. Like, I mean, I saw it on Reddit that someone was trying to say that she's a Mary Sue, and I was just like, have you watched any of the episodes before she got her vision back? Because there's several moments where she's training, or like they're playing the game of faces and just various different things. And like even just her training with Sirio, her travels with the Hound.
Well, and for all we know, she was assassinating numerous people as, you know, part of her training. Like the only thing that they really showed was when she was supposed to poison the actress woman, you know, and then she decided.
Well, and the skinny man at the market. And
the skinny man at the market,
and she ends up murdering what's his face, who was a knight and a very good fighter, Samarin Tran. And she murders Samarin Tran. Like she straight up dropped a knight with basically a shank.
Huh? I don't remember that part. I would have to watch that again.
Remember, he's at the brothel and he's basically like
pulling
all like the younger girls.
Okay,
and then,
yeah, no, I remember that.
Yeah, that's when she loses her vision, is because she steals the face.
Yeah, no, yeah, but I mean, she did kind of like just pop up out of nowhere and like, you know, start stabbing him. So that's
I mean,
really
this is a battle hardened warrior that you would think would have better reflexes than that. But like when she's that quick and like, I mean, it's she obvious. Like I think her skills are very earned. I just like when people try to say it's like, oh, well, there's no way she's that good. I was kind of like, well, she killed the Night King, therefore she is the prince or princess, High Valyrian's agender. With that was promised. I mean, she is of noble birthright, and she did take out the Night King. Clearly, she is that person. So, like, she also has that predisposition, which, I mean, even in the first episode we see, remember when she shoots the arrow over Bran's shoulder and hits the bullseye?
Yeah.
And then they later talk about how she'd been training with the bow. Who's to say she didn't watch her brothers train with the Master of Arms and then later practice with the practice swords herself as a child, or a stick even?
No, and she was practicing with the kid that ended up getting killed.
Oh yeah, the butcher's boy. Yeah, in the scene where Joffrey gets maimed. Yeah.
So it's like, you know, that type of, you know, physical combat things have always been an interest of her since she was a small kid. So
and she's been practicing since she was like 9.
Yeah, and has been, you know, in situations where she could have died since she was like 9, you know? So
right. She has a lot of exposure to this, and she's like
and a lot of reason,
training.
A lot of motivation to get particularly good.
Right, you know? Right. I mean, from her father's execution on, that was her, like literally, that was the only thing that's consistently important to her, is killing the people on her list. Like, she doesn't even really care about her family all that much. Like, the Hound was the one trying to bring her back to her family. She wanted to axe people.
Yeah, absolutely. So I really love the Aya character. You know, like she's nothing. She's not a feminist character. That's not what she is. She's a strong woman. There's a very big difference. The feminist characters on the show are Cersei, Dany, and Sansa. And
Sansa,
yeah, no, she kind of is. but she's, like she would be like one of the moderate Christina Hoff Sommers feminists or
Yeah,
something.
Sansa would be a second wave feminist. Dany would be a third wave feminist, and Cersei would be somewhere in between, in my opinion.
Oh, well, I would say that that Cersei would just be the like archetypal, like everything wrong with feminine. Well, no, actually, no. I would say that Dany is definitely a fourth wave feminist because she's all like
right.
SJW. Like it's all about like freeing the people of color and everything, which like,
And
hey,
I deserve this, I deserve that.
yeah, just complete and utter entitlement, and then thinking that like she's God's gift to everyone because she convinces everybody that she's the breaker of chains. But it's like, yeah, you also have dragons. It's not that hard to convince people that you're somebody to follow.
It's like you also have dragons, you're immune to fire somehow, and you have armies.
Yeah.
Like, people follow you because you're scary as shit.
Yeah, and like,
Like, and I mean, and even back in like, back in what's it called, Marine, she wasn't that great of a leader. To be honest, she wasn't that great.
No, oh, this was the other thing that I was gonna say. Like the guy came, and this was, one of the best moments on the show. Like I would say it's within the top probably 25 monologues in Game of Thrones, which, I know 25, that's kind of a big number, but not in Game of Thrones terms, because there's a lot of really good monologues in Game of Thrones.
I think Tyrion has the most monologues, the most good ones.
The actor that did this was really, really good. He was the man who was the freed slave that wanted to move back in with the family that he used to teach the kids of.
Oh yeah, I loved that scene, dude. That was a great scene.
Yeah, and you could see her like looking like, oh God, oh. But there was no mention of like whether or not she was like, considering whether she was always doing the right thing. It was always like, oh, that sucks. Like
yeah. One thing I wanted to kind of circle back to, because a lot of people have been bitching about the whole most recent episode and the Mad Queen thing. This has been foreshadowed since Crown of Gold. If you don't believe me, go rewatch the episode. I believe it's episode 5 of season 1. It's the one where Khal Drogo melts down the gold from his belts and shit onto her brother's head.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Like she just like literally stone face. Fire cannot kill a dragon. And I don't think that's against Emilia Clarke as an actress. I think she's supposed to be cold in that scene. I think that's her character, is that like she has no degree of empathy for people she considers her enemy.
And the thing is like, well, that's technically is not fire. It's really hot metal. So
right. But I mean, but that's the line anyway, is that fire cannot kill a dragon.
Oh, hi, Russian bot, aka CNN's anonymous sources. How's it going? So that's a person in the chat. If you didn't realize.
I have my shit split screen. I have the Hangout on one side and the chat on the other, so I can monitor.
Okay. So the thing about my predictions is it's because I haven't really gotten into it, and I might as well start to get into it, unless there's something else that I haven't really said before. I'm not really sure. I think that there's a lot of like, I think you're definitely on to something. Like something is going to go down between Daenerys and Jon Snow, and Grey Worm is going to have to get involved. Like that's clear, like there's no other way. I mean, Daenerys is not going to live. Like she's not making it out of this alive. That's very obvious. Now, I don't know what'll happen to Drogo. What what'll you do?
I think the only way Drogon survives is if Jon does. That's just my opinion. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, I was talking about the dragon. Is that what
you mean? That's what I mean. Is the only way the dragon survives is if Jon does, because the dragons only trust Targaryens. I mean, no one besides when Danny was already on the dragon has ridden it. No one's ridden a dragon alone besides John and Danny.
Mm.
So,
I mean,
like,
yeah,
I think Drogon's only chance of survival is if one of them survives.
yeah. But I think that it's hard to say what's going to happen exactly between them, but I do think that she's going to end up dead. I don't know if John is going to end up dead immediately. I predict that he is going to end up dead. Now, one of the things is I have a hard time believing that they would kill Cersei and Jamie in the way that they did.
Do you think
And
they survived?
I think it's a probability that they did, or a possibility that they did somehow. Just because, those are characters that the show, the writers would have you explicitly see die. There is a chance that there was, like some space under there and they get dug out or whatever, kind of like Spider-Man Homecoming or something, like
Sure.
that's just what I'm thinking, and it's enough to see that whole thing happen, and enough to see Sir Gregor Clegane get taken out, and so
Gregor's fucking dead. Gregor's fucking dead.
Yeah, I think he should be. Let's hope.
Well, they fell into like a 30-foot high fire. They're both dead.
Yeah. But okay, so wait, what was that other thing that I was just about to say? Okay. This is some stuff that I was watching in fan theories, and this is the fan theory that I have had since about season 4. I believe, and this is like, I would bet money. I mean, not a lot of money. I'd probably bet $20. I believe that not only is Bronn going to be a very key role in things, to a point where there's actually even a chance that he kills Daenerys. Like I
like it. I hope Bronn does something important. Regardless, I could see him doing it. Actually, I think Arya would be pissed. I think Arya would be pissed as shit, because I'm pretty sure, and I really wanted the last thing you hear to be her muttering under her breath, just like she did with her list, Arya saying Daenerys Targaryen or Daenerys Stormborn.
Yeah. Well, ultimately, Bronn has tried to kill her twice, and apparently, which I didn't pick up on that at the time, but you can watch fan theory videos about this. The orders came from Cersei, and he was promised a really, really hefty reward by Cersei, and he was promised a really, really hefty, like double a reward from Tyrion. And so, okay, is Highgarden the castle that's in like the Gold Roses place?
The Reach. So that's Highgarden is the Reach, which is the most fruitful as far as like agriculture goes.
Okay, yeah,
and it is where
with where Lady Tyrell was.
Yeah, it's the former hold of the Tyrells. They're all gone now, but yeah, that's her castle.
Yeah, that's not bad. That is, I mean, he will be.
Well, he actually asked for it after they looted it. Remember, he's like, "How about that one?"
Yeah.
His conversation with Jaime right before Danny shows up and Bronn saves Jaime from himself.
Okay, so I think that he is gonna somehow end up king of the Seven Kingdoms, and I have been thinking that since like season 4, and it's strictly having to do with who he is as a person, his character, like how smart he is, how willing to get his hands dirty, how fair he is, his drive. Like he's the person who has climbed the most over the course of this show to an extremely high status person who has done a whole lot for a whole number of people. I mean, mainly the Lannisters, but I think
he's kind of like Littlefinger, but more straightforward, basically,
and can fight. He's a really good fighter.
Oh yeah, honestly, I think he would stand the best chance against Arya in an all out single combat. Like he has the best chance of beating her at this point
Yeah, no.
because Brienne can't. It's obvious Brienne can't. Arya is way too fast for her.
Well, it's not even just that. It's that Brienne wouldn't, because
Brienne wouldn't, yeah,
she took a knight's vow to protect her.
even though she wasn't a knight. But yeah, she did vow to protect her. But like, I think if anyone could stand against Arya at this point, it would be Bran and maybe Jon if he had a reason. But Jon would never hurt Arya.
Yeah, but
Like,
I don't think that Braun will fight Arya. I don't think that it'll be I don't think that there'll be much of a reason to. I think that what'll happen is that Cersei, it will be found out that Cersei is still alive. I think that Arya will end up killing her, because that would, if Arya doesn't kill Cersei, everyone's going to be let down. Like everyone wants that. That's like the thing that people have been anticipating for the ending of Game of Thrones.
I mean, Cersei was the last name on our list of the people who are still alive.
Yeah, and the thing is, if there's that contract, that Cersei had put out for Daenerys's life, or not Daenerys, but they had made some deal, and I don't think exactly what the deal was, but there's the one that was for Jaime and Tyrion, and then there was the one for Daenerys, because he did try to assassinate her with a scorpion and by shooting down the dragons. And so I think that there's a chance that maybe Arya will kill Daenerys still, but I think it's a little bit more likely that he will, for some reason. And then it'll maybe turn out that Arya goes and kills Cersei, and then maybe Jon will die, maybe he won't, but either way, it's really unknown whether or not he's actually going to want to be the king of the Seven Kingdoms. He might want to stay in the north and be the whatever the position is that's close enough to king of the north.
Warden of the North is going to end up being Sansa if she doesn't end up ruling with Tyrion. You know what? I think Tyrion's going to be Warden of the North.
Okay, well, I know, but at the same time, Jon might be with Sansa up there because he does consider them like family. He's very, very loyal to the North. I think that it would be very, simple for him to choose, like, hey, actually, Bronn, you killed Daenerys, and we owe it to you. And Cersei's dead now. You were tight in with the Lannisters, and so King's Landing trusts you, and have it. You know what I mean?
You know what? You know what I could kind of see happening with Bronn. Because I don't think that Warden of the West is something Tyrion wants. I think Tyrion wants to be at King's Landing, whether he's king or not. I could see Bronn being the new Warden of the West with the Lannister line ended besides Tyrion, because I don't think Tyrion wants Casterly Rock at this point.
No, where is
I think he would rather Warden of the West, which is Casterly Rock, is the effective capital of the West. So Casterly Rock is the Lannisters' lands.
Okay.
So because what's his face? Gendry is Storm's End, which is the east.
Now what's in the east?
The east is the Baratheons.
Ah, okay.
So
by the way, I kind of think I mean, there's been a few really hot guys on the show, but I kind of think Gendry's the hottest that's left.
I can see that. I mean, I'm not even into guys, but I can see that. I mean, but I really love his character. I really love his journey as a character too, though. Like, it's really interesting. Like the shit he's been through.
Gendry will turn guys gay. Remember when they were trying to catch a zombie, and is it Eric, the one that's from the far north? Like, he's the wildling. and they're like, oh, how do you survive up here? And he's like, you have to keep moving. Um, Fighting is good, or I forget what they said first, but they were like,
Walking is good, fighting is better, fucking is best.
yeah,
That's Tormund.
and then Jon Snow was like, "There's not a woman here around here for 30 miles," and then he looks over at Gendry and he's like, "We'll just have to make do with what we've got."
Yeah, that's Tormund, the one that's in love with Brienne.
Yeah, it was so funny.
Which, by the way, Tormund and Brienne should get together. I mean,
Yeah.
Jaime's either dead or about to die.
Yeah.
I mean, I think they're gonna if they find Cersei and Jaime.
Yeah.
Jaime's probably dead, and he probably saved Cersei and the baby.
Oh yeah, he'll be dead. I mean, that dude stabbed him like 2 or 3 times.
Yeah, I mean, and he stabbed him in the shoulder, and he stabbed him too low to hit the heart, but high enough to hit the lung.
Yeah. No, I mean, he's
so
gonna
like
die.
he's
Like,
dead.
He can't survive trapped under some rubble. But yeah, I mean, if Cersei did, they're gonna try to look for her.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, I'm sure they're going to like confirm dead Cersei. Like it's like Dany has worked way too hard and is way too mad at Cersei after her executing Missandei. Like she's going to be absolutely sure. She might just have Drogon burn the corpse once they find it, just to be certain.
Wait, who's gonna Dany?
Dany, like
Yeah.
they're probably gonna sift through the ruins, and if she is already dead, Drogon's gonna burn the corpse for good measure.
Yeah.
Just because, like, Dany is like psychotic angry at this point.
Yeah, she's very angry. I mean, Missandei was, supposed to be her best friend of everyone. And another thing that people are saying is that Missandei was a very shallow character that was a total dud. I don't
agree with that at all.
Okay, so I don't disagree, but what I will say is that that was really the fault of the writers, because they really should have had more scenes with her, like actually advising Dany. Like if they showed Missandei, giving her some really good advice, and then like showing how good of friends they were and things like that, even just like 2 or 3 times, which I don't know why they didn't. It was always just kind of like she was around, and then
I really feel like she did get a fair amount of like establishment on like a social level with Daenerys. I don't think on an advisor level they spent enough time on her.
Yeah, I don't. So
like it was very clear that they were friends.
But yeah, like, I think that
her value to Dany in her inner circle is not very. There's not enough screen time, in my opinion.
No, absolutely not. And the thing that bugs me about it is like there's all sorts of people who love her because she's like the most strong Black woman. Like she's the person of color, the female person of color, and so like when she died,
whatever on that, she's smoking hot, dude.
Well, when she died, everyone was all pissed, like all of the SJWs, and that's true. Like I understand why it's like I was pretty pissed too. And and another thing, I was annoyed. Her last words were like Draco, and it's like
Dracarys.
That's what his name is. Okay,
Valyrian, or burn them, or burn them all.
Oh, okay.
That was the symbolism with that final line.
Okay.
If you haven't read the books, you wouldn't know that.
Yeah, okay. Anyway, the problem with that thing was it was not like Missandei to do that. She never showed any signs of being particularly vengeful.
See, I don't agree with that.
Really?
I don't agree with that. Now, here's the thing. Remember, like, in the last scene you see Missandei, she is bruised to shit. Like, it's plausible. She got beat all night. Like, from the time she was captured, she's had the shit beat out of her by these Westerosi, who we already established in episodes 1 and 2 of season 8. She doesn't like how Westerosi look at her.
Yeah.
So she already is not super comfortable here. And then she gets captured and the shit beat out of her all night. And then drug out onto the battlements knowing she's gonna die. I mean, she's been a slave
Okay,
her whole
okay,
life.
okay.
She knows the fucking score.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, sure. That's a pretty minor point. But the other thing I was gonna say about wasn't I gonna say I forgot. I'm forgetting. I'm kind of scatterbrained.
Are
I
you
apologize.
drunk?
No, it's that I drank some
I'm working
caffeine.
on it.
So yeah, I don't drink a whole lot these days. My alcohol tolerance is pretty low. I don't think I would be good for streaming if I was
Well,
actually.
I actually respect that because shit, I should drink less.
Yeah. So but people were really mad about her dying, and I can understand that, but at
I
the
can
same time
understand that, but it
it would
totally
be a
fits
lot.
Cersei. It
It,
totally fits Cersei.
oh yeah, no, I mean, she should have died for the plot of the show. Like made most sense, and especially because Cersei was trying to provoke Dany. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And but it would have just been better if you had a little bit more of a sense that she had a really really strong relationship with Daenerys, which I know that they, you could tell that they were friends, but I just feel like there could have been more. And then I would have totally agreed with the SJWs who are so upset about this, because like, yeah, she should have been really really important to Daenerys, and it's totally the show's fault for not showing it. And it's like, yeah, she was the strong black woman, but she also just didn't, like, you couldn't really tell. And but she for every reason had every reason for us to be able to tell, and that's annoying.
Um, I, I don't agree. I don't agree. The main reason I don't agree is okay, so they like Dany like legitimately just straight up asks about her first night with Grey Worm, and she's like trying to press Missandei for more. I was like there are several. I mean, they're not long moments. Like it's not a. I wouldn't say it's a significant amount of screen time per se, but there are several moments and interactions that it's clear that Missandei is one of her most trusted people. Like
Oh yeah.
she's legitimately in her circle for Dany.
I just mean that there should be more screen time. That
I
because
mean, I agree there should have been more screen time, but I feel like there was enough establishment that like
Okay, no,
Dany
no,
would
I
go
won't
full
want you.
tilt after that friend died.
Yes, I know that, but what I'm saying is that the audience should have felt more of Dany's rage, which we didn't. Like, in order to see her end up, massacring that whole city, carelessly. I mean, not everybody, but close to, like a lot of people. And then it would have just been a little bit more believable, but that would have required us, having got to know the character a little bit better, and knowing, not because they told us and they alluded to it, but showing us how close she was and why, she was such a good person that she cared so much. Because I don't think that would have been that hard. It would have required a little bit of screen time, but
Sure.
they just didn't. Like, she did Missandei ever have like a single really great monologue in the whole show? Because I don't remember it.
Nothing comes to mind. I mean, I think Grey Worm actually had better monologues than her, to be
Yeah,
honest.
yeah, I think Grey Worm has definitely had some more, better stuff. So that's
Like the whole dialogue about his name, when they say who among you is chief, when she asks who among you is your leader, and they all basically point at him. Like I think that exchange almost has a better like he's almost a better established character than she is in just a lot of ways, which is unfortunate because I really think Missandei there was a lot of missed potential with how the show played out.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Missed potential.
But like nonetheless, one of the big things that I kind of feel like a lot of unhappy fans have kind of missed or like maybe just not really taken into consideration, is that the whole recurring theme that's been happening since I'm trying to remember who says it first. I think it's actually Jamie that says it first. Whenever a Targaryen is born, the gods flip a coin.
Yeah.
I think he says it first when he's talking to Brienne after his hand gets cut off. When he tells her why he killed the Mad King.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So, like, I think that the thing is, the showrunners have been trying to hint without coming out and saying that Dany is a couple of bad breaks from going Mad Queen.
Yeah, yeah.
And she got her couple of bad breaks. I mean, she lost Dorne and House Tyrell overnight. That wasn't great. And she lost 2 of her dragons in 5 episodes. And she lost the only man she really loved shortly between the 2 dragons.
Wait, how did she lose Dorne and
so remember the kind of switcheroo that the Lannisters pull, like they go and take Highgarden instead of for defending Casterly Rock. In the episode before, the Iron Fleet comes and takes out their envoy back to Dorne. Those happen in sequential episodes.
Yeah, okay, but and then they both of the leaders hated Cersei. So okay,
and she finds out at the same time that she lost both. So like in her mind, she lost them overnight, even though they happened a few days apart. She finds out at the same time for both of those. Because remember, Jon goes and shows her the dragon glass in the mountain on the south end of the island of Dragonstone. And and she sees Tyrion, and Tyrion's just got that oh fuck face. And he tells her what he learned from the Ravens, and it's just like, and then she has the whole, I'm fighting this war, I'm losing, what do I do? Right before she raids the supply train leaving Highgarden.
Okay, so here's a thing that I think should have also been explained, and maybe there'll be a small chance that this is somehow explained, but I think that when Bran remember how he sent a bunch of ravens up into the air when he was sitting in the middle of the
right, I've got to go now
yeah I think that somehow he should have delivered a message to Aya, and maybe he did. Maybe he had a little message.
It is possible.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if the Ravens could have communicated with her. Maybe he had a little piece of paper,
Or I mean, it's possible that because he can see the past, and we don't know how immediate past he can see, he might have seen, because that was right after Sir Beric dies. He might have sent something to Melisandre, who gave the pep talk.
Okay.
Just as a theory.
Yeah. Okay. So, what do you think of my theory with Bronn?
I like it. I don't think it's going to happen. But okay, if anyone has climbed and fought and clawed their way to the top hard enough, I think the only person who can even compete with him in deserving what he's clawed his way into would be Tyrion. Like, he's the only competition and like worked hard to get to where he's at. So like, I would be happy with Bronn or Tyrion. I don't think anyone Targaryen is going to be on the throne.
Yeah, I don't think so either. Okay. Well,
the main reason I don't think Bronn is because I think Bronn wants it. I think Bronn wants I think Braun wants a castle and to be left the fuck alone. Like, I think he would rather
mean, it
have
could be.
Highgarden than King's Landing, especially in
It
the
could
state of
be,
King's
but I
Landing.
mean, I really hope he comes back at least, because that was kind of a weird point to leave him at if he doesn't really come back.
Oh yeah, the threatening the Tyrion brothers, and then just that's the end of us seeing him. Fuck that. I want to see him again for sure.
Yeah, I love that guy. He's my favorite character on the show.
Tyrion's mine, if it wasn't obvious from our dialogue up to this point.
Yeah, surprise, surprise. But
well, he's like me, but half my height. I love that guy.
Okay. I don't know. The person I relate to the most, not so much anymore, is Bran, actually.
I actually had you pegged as a Varys, to be honest.
Another friend of mine told me that, like a really good friend of mine told me that, and I can see what she was talking about. I get the point, and I appreciate that comparison. It's a very nice thing to say.
Well, I mean, you have tons of contacts, and you genuinely care about the greater good. So, like, that's to me why I have you pegged as a Varys.
Oh, well, and I also am very good at figuring out what's really going on.
Exactly. You have an ear to the ground. You're great at networking, and you legitimately want the best for the people around you.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, again, to me, that's Varys to a T.
Okay.
Which, like, I mean, that's like, honestly, Danny executing Varys was like the final straw for me supporting Danny.
Yeah.
Like,
I just thought it was just another thing that was pretty lame, about the show. That guy, the critical drinker, was just like, okay, he is arguably the smartest guy in all of Westeros. Like,
no, he is. Like, I wouldn't even say arguably. He's smarter than Tyrion. Tyrion's too emotional.
Yeah, it's like, you wouldn't think that he would have thought about some way to get out of that situation. Like, if this was the old Varys and not the new, not written by the book Varys, like, where everybody is like not quite themselves anymore, like, he would have told Tyrion, anticipated that he would rat him out, and already had an exit strategy, and find a way to know if he ratted him out, and he would have been gone.
I don't agree.
Oh yeah.
Here's why I don't agree. I think Varys did it for the realm because it was he knew, and this is prediction direction. He knew that if Danny kills him over it, that would be the final straw for Tyrion, and that Tyrion, the next best thing after Varys, and the only person who could even try to claim the throne, would turn his back on Danny. Because here's the thing about Varys. Varys is very smart, and he's good at influencing people. He himself is not influential. He relies on having influential contacts.
Well, he comes up with little plans.
Right, he's great at planning, but he'll never sit on a throne.
Yeah.
And he relies on having the ear of someone who will. So I think that was his Doctor Strange, it was the only way moment.
I don't know.
And I think we're gonna draw the parallel to Infinity War. I think he's Doctor Strange and Tyrion is his Tony Stark. He needs Tony Stark to do the right thing regardless of the cost.
Okay,
and he set it up.
Fine. Yeah. Okay, I got your point. That's cool. That's a good. I don't think that he should have done that. I think that he being, and maybe it's because he's supposed to be the me, according to my friends. I wouldn't feel like that would be some like worth it thing to do. I think that there should have been some other way. I can see what what you're saying, and you're gonna more than likely be right. You know, because he was certainly Tyrion's best friend. And so, I mean, I don't know who else would be. And Varys massively saved, like risked his life to save Tyrion. And they got to be quite good friends over the course of the whole series, really, every time they really talked. Like if he owes his intellectual prowess to anybody, it would have been Varys. And
Absolutely.
so I see what you're saying. I think you're going to probably turn out to be right. It just wasn't so believable to me. That's all I'm saying. And I guess
Yeah.
is now.
I mean, I guess I understand why you feel that way and why that, like, I understand why you have that perspective. I just, especially like during the his first dialogue in Dragonstone, specifically with Danny,
Mhm.
I feel like Varys was ready to find the right cause to sacrifice himself. I think Varys, he kind of like from the time he's reunited with Tyrion, he
Mhm.
seems weary of the game. It seems like he almost is kind of ready to die in a way.
Hmm.
Like
By the
he's
way,
over it.
by the way, entertain the audience because I'm going to have to go run to the bathroom real quick because that caffeine that I drank that I was talking about is very much affecting me. So hold on.
Right on. Okay, so Prince, I think Prince doesn't like the idea of us of the character that me and his apparently female friend, who I hope is hot, uh, compared him to, died. Um, but I do think it's logically consistent that if he found the right cause, that Lord Varys would actually sacrifice himself for what he believes to be the greater good, the ultimate goal. Now, my perspective on the whole thing is, in all likelihood, there may not be a Seven Kingdoms after this. Like, basically, our only chance of unification amongst the kingdoms is Jon Snow or Tyrion Lannister. I think, as much as I would love to see Bronn on the throne, I don't see that ending well. So like it would either have to be like he's sitting on the ruins of the throne and like the castle's fucked and he's just smiling, got my castle, fade to black, or or he's gonna end up murking somebody to get Tyrion on the throne so he can get his payout, which would be Highgarden.
Okay, now I'm back. Wouldn't you think though that the Seven Kingdoms would like worship the hell out of whoever assassinates Daenerys?
More than likely, which is why fun twist. What if Arya murks her and she ends up on the throne?
I don't think Arya wants it.
Oh, she doesn't want it, but she's already the savior of Winterfell. I don't think it's a matter. I don't think it's going to really be her choice. I think like the outcry, they're going to want her, and John's just going to be like, "Well, I don't fucking want to be king." My
Yeah, I mean, I
like you
wouldn't. I
murdered my
wouldn't.
girlfriend who went psycho. Like I don't
Yeah,
want to be king. I want to just nope the fuck out.
yeah.
He's like, I
I
want to
mean,
go
it could
rebuild the
happen.
wall.
It
I
could
want to be as
happen.
far away from the city as possible.
It could definitely happen with the way that the writing has been going for the last two seasons.
Like I could see Jon Snow hermiting the fuck out. Like if he survives, like he's just not gonna tell anyone else that he's a Targaryen. He's just gonna nope the fuck out to the
Yeah.
fucking wall and rebuild the wall and just like
Hmm.
brood and stare over the ice.
Hmm. Yeah, that makes sense.
Sansa and Tyrion are gonna run the north. Arya's gonna be the queen because fuck it. Although you would be fucked up
What?
if Sansa's like, I don't want to be the Lady of Storm's End, but apparently I'm the Queen of the Seven Kingdoms. Hey, Gendry, you want to come roll with me?
Yeah, no, it would be funny.
I think that would be funny as fuck.
Yeah. She
Because
might
I mean,
she might change her mind about the whole thing like that. She's like,
well, I mean, and
hey,
here's
if I get to wear the pantsuit in this relationship, hey,
exactly, and
yeah,
here's
you're
why
cute.
she would do it. Here's why she would do it, because the Hound convinced her to live her life. And R.I.P. Sandor Clegane. That was one of the best short monologues in the story.
Was that
I
this
lived-
last episode?
Yeah, I've lived for revenge my whole life. Do you want to end up like me?
Yeah,
And
that was.
she's like, thank you, Sandor. It's the only time she calls him that, by the way. And apparently, even in the books, she never calls him Sandor like to his face.
Okay.
Besides that moment, if that's how it ends up in the books.
Okay.
Which wouldn't surprise me if it doesn't end up that way, because, well, the books have Lady Stoneheart, which we're not going to get into because that's just a whole can of worms.
So, but okay. I want to say to the few people watching, I hope you've been enjoying this. I know that this is nothing like the normal streams that I have on my channel, so it's not exactly what my regular audience tunes in for. But I did want to show myself on this. And the deal is, I've been having a lot of financial worries. I've been talking about it, but I don't have access to my savings legally until the end of July, and or very, very late July. It might be like 2 days before August, and that has put me in a very precarious situation. I'm more than likely gonna be able to get through to the 21st of May. I got a nice donation from a subscriber today, so that's cool. I really appreciated that. But anything that you can really do until the 21st of May in particular, I'm going to be getting a pretty sizable YouTube check, so I'll be fine for a little while after that. You can send it to me on PayPal, and it's Mr. Prince of Queens at gmail.com with periods in between the words, and that would be really good. I am only accepting donations of $100 or more. Just kidding, obviously. I wouldn't do that, but I want to give just a little bit of information about, just to let you know how irritating my situation is. My mother has just been so irritating since my father died, or actually really in a lot of ways really my whole life, but I don't want to get into like mommy issues or whatever. But she was completely, like, bad things were happening to my father. My mother completely just pretended that they weren't. I warned her about some people, and I was like, this thing is happening. They're up to no good. She refused to even consider that it might be right. And then those people went on to screw her over and me. Mainly my father, because they were up to no good. And even after that, my mother still wouldn't listen to me about them, and she's still like, well, I don't know, maybe they meant well. But they came after her, like they tried to screw with her, as in they filed false, premeditated, I might add. They threatened to do this if I didn't stop doing the thing that, the fair thing that I was doing. They threatened to call Adult Protective Services on me. And I was like, screw you. I know I'm not doing nothing wrong. You wouldn't do that. That's stupid. And then they did call Adult Protective Services, saying that I was somehow trying to like harm my dad, which is the most absurd thing ever. I was the only person who visited him every week and I was his favorite. Like all of the nurses at the home knew that, and I was able to prove that I was innocent. But the thing is that they called it them Adult Protective Services on me and my mother, and my mother was like, "Well, I don't know. I think that you you probably did something deserving of it." And I'm like, "I told you everything I did." And she's like, "I don't know. I don't know." I'm like, "Why would have they accused you too? You weren't even there with me. You haven't been there with me at the home for like over a year." And she's like, "I don't know." But like no more like, "I don't know." And I was just like, "You are insufferable." And then she didn't even apologize when I actually got us exonerated by acting basically as my own lawyer to prove that there was no possible way I was doing what they said that I was doing. Like I could go through emails and things like that. It was not hard for me to prove it. And then my mother never apologized. And then when after my father died, she continued to tell me that I that she still doesn't trust me, and I'm supposed to be my father's power of, or not my father's, my mother's power of attorney. So supposedly, I'm supposed to be the one looking after her. She doesn't just trust my judge of character. That's what she said, and I'm like, well, what happens if like a nurse is abusing you? Are you gonna fight me on it? Like if you don't realize, and you're gonna be like, no, I like her, and it's just like, oh, you're completely insufferable. So I asked, my mother for some money, and she gave me some money, not that much. And then she proposed an interest loan on me. And I'm like, no, no, I think I'm going to really consider not talking to you at all. So that's just the irritating financial situation that I'm in, like an interest loan. Like what? So you can make some money off of me when the first time I've ever asked you for money in my entire life. Are you insane? So yeah, it's my mom. But that's just, so think about if you're watching this, what you'd maybe give me on PayPal. And we're gonna start to wrap this up.
So you're saying is your mom's basically Cersei?
I don't know about Cersei. I don't think that that's the most appropriate character for my mother. I would have to think long and hard about who would be a good example. Now, I have a sister who's kind of like Cersei, but I'm not going to get into her. Yeah, everybody in my family is awful. My dad is like the last good member of my family. He was, and everyone's completely horrible. They're just all awful. And
See, my family's like the Starks, like this, primarily the Starks that died early on in the series. They mean well, but they don't really pay attention to what the fuck they're doing.
Huh. But okay, so any more Game of Thrones predictions that we haven't really covered?
Um, Let's see. Do you think we're gonna see anything from Dorne again? Because like all the characters that they invested time in from Dorne are dead at this point. Because the last of them were in the Black Cells, which means, logically speaking, they're likely dead.
Yeah, I don't know. But I do wonder about wasn't what happened with Theon's sister?
Oh, Yara went back to reclaim the Iron Islands, and with Euron dead,
Yeah,
she probably, it's plausible she would have succeeded. So, like, I mean,
she could put together an army, a small army at least.
if they, if we saw the last of her after Theon saves her, I would be disappointed for sure.
Yeah,
I would like to see.
I really like that character.
I would like to see Yara reclaim the Salt Throne for sure. I don't really see her getting involved with the rest of the kingdoms, even though technically the Iron Islands are the seventh kingdom.
Mhm.
I do want to see her actually take the Salt Throne, even if we just like see her doing the what's it called, the coronary drowning, because that's actually what they do. They legitimately that's in the books and everything. Like when they drown Euron, like that's how they coronate their new king.
Yeah, that would be cool. So yeah, I want to see what happens with her. I think that that's a loose end that they need to tie.
I want to see what happens with Tyrion and Sansa, because I feel like they're going to end up reconnecting. I want them to reconnect really bad. Like regardless of who's on the throne, like we should see Sansa again, at the very least, writing Tyrion, if not seeing him again.
Oh, wouldn't it be cool if somebody like Sam ended up as the king of Highgarden? Because it would suit him too.
Well, it's not really well established in the series, but the Tarleys are actually the next largest house in the Reach after the what the fuck are they called? Tyrells. So him taking Highgarden, if Bronn's king, Samuel being the Warden of the Reach makes the most sense. I mean, he should be the Lord of Hornhill by default. And him being the Lord of the Reach, I actually like. I think that would be cool.
So that would be really, really good reason why maybe they are going to do the Bronn thing. Oh, and here's another reason why I think the Bronn, and this is very small, but it would make sense. Notice how there's Bran and Bronn. All right.
Right.
Isn't that kind of like Brain and Bronn? And
interesting point.
Yeah.
That actually, I had. Oh, you know what? Bronn is king and Bran is hand. I like it.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I think that he would be the best ruler.
Well, actually, no, even better. Even better, because he already literally is it, just in every way but title. Tyrion is hand. Bran is Master of Whispers.
Master
Think
of
about
Whispers.
it. He can see everything that's happened.
No, it would be like the perfect little threesome of
exactly.
And they they have no, like, nobody has any real reason to hate him, especially if he kills Daenerys. And
another reason to like him, and he is literally a man of the people.
Yeah, he's literally a man of the people. And
who's your father? You wouldn't know him.
There's nobody else on that entire show who has the same that proper attitude of being like, you know, the way what he said at the end, he was like, all the great houses started from someone like in the last time he was on. I don't remember exactly what he said, but he was like, all the great houses started with one man who just wanted to, you know, get his hands dirty and basically, you know what I mean? Like, and
like basically did it better than someone else.
Yeah, and that's how Robert Baratheon became king. And
exactly.
So it would make the most sense. And I think that even though the last couple seasons have not been good compared to the, like, you know, the parts that had the book
compared to the first four,
I do think that
5 through 8 have not been as great.
I do think that George Martin, or whatever the author's name is,
George Martin,
I do think that he would probably be like, please don't change my ending. And I have been planning on a certain ending the whole books. Like, don't change who I want to be king. And he said
I'm guessing the final, the way the story ends, like the way the setting is at the end, is going to be very much what Martin asked for. I think the how we get there is Dan and Dan.
The what?
So I really do feel like the final setting, like the state of Westeros,
Yeah.
at the end is going to be very much how Martin asked.
Uh-huh.
But I think that how we get there, so basically seasons, especially 7 and 8,
Yeah, yeah.
were very much Dan and Dan doing their shit.
Oh, Dan and Dan. Okay, I didn't.
Yeah, the
I
D&D, Dan and
yeah,
Dan, whatever the fucking Daniel, who gives a shit.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah. And so
but
I think because of the fact that Martin very likely like there's so many reasons why that is what he was planning. That really makes sense in terms of Martin's character. Like he is the type of guy that'd be like, the next great ruler should be somebody that earned it. He is the type of person who would have saw things that way. And
right, right,
um
it does very much fit like his style.
yeah. And so that's one of the other reasons. Like that was that's the big thing that really inspired me to first start thinking it back in. And really, I was thinking it in like no later than season 5, but more like season 4, maybe even season 3. And it was strictly because I was like, okay, this guy's the most overall well-rounded great character on the show in terms of like actually just having the potential to be a great man. you know um
Right.
like he gets everything done pretty much that he says he's going to do. He's willing to do potentially anything if if he has a reason, but he's never going to do anything entirely selfless because he ultimately is motivated by powering his own position, and he's always made that clear.
Right. Now here's the thing, and take it for what it is. So even by the end of season 5, Tyrion had the most screen time. That's part of the reason I think that Tyrion is the most like Tyrion is the main character and the most likely choice for king.
I just think it's so weird that it might be Tyrion. I know that I just it doesn't like it just seems like it would be too easy and too much of a not surprise. Like everyone's like, finally, I always wanted it to be Tyrion, and it's like that's so.
And that's not Martin's way. Martin
No,
does
it's
love
not.
to throw a curveball. So like, I mean,
Yeah.
I think that there's objectively there's not really a way to say which theory holds more water because I could see Martin doing either.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, yeah. And that's fair enough. We can agree to disagree, and we will be finding out on Sunday.
Yes, we will.
I'm
Yes, we
very
will.
excited. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this live stream. I appreciate you guys for stopping by, and if you can consider donating to my PayPal, it would be really really awesome to me. Make sure I can buy some food and the type of things that people need. I kind of might have started smoking again, so I unfortunately do spend money on that. But I'm not buying like whiskey or anything. Occasionally, I'll get like 2 beers. That's the most. I mean, and two 20-ounce beers. But like
Yeah,
that's
the El Cheapos from the gas station kind of thing.
yeah, I get Modelo's or Tecates. I'm a person of who lived in San Francisco, so have that Mexican beer in my blood thing going on.
That's actually what I'm drinking right now is Tecate.
Yeah, Tecate is kind of my favorite. I mean, I don't know. Modelo might taste slightly better, but I feel like Tecate is. I think it has more alcohol in it.
I think alcohol for the price, Tecate is your better choice.
Yeah, Tecate is bomb. So, okay, I think that we can end this stream. Everybody check out Wrath's channel. I will be putting it in the description, but you should also share it in the chat while we're still going. He hasn't made videos in a while, but he says that he's going to. So
yeah, I need to set up my recording equipment again.
Oh, and he had committed, or I don't know about committed, but there was definitely talk about him being in episode 3 of The Culture War is Lit, and I want him to be in it still, but of course, it's going to be really hard for me to get it made anytime soon, especially considering my brokenness at the moment. So yeah, but episode 3 is, I've actually considered trying to, like, once I'm financially stable, um I'm going to potentially throw a fundraiser to try to get episodes 2 and 3 made at once, because once people see number 3, they're going to have a good idea of where I'm actually going with it. And so then they'll be like, because did you watch episode 1?
I did watch episode 1.
Okay. So the unanimous feedback that I've gotten from everybody who actually watched the whole thing is, oh yeah, that was good. That was good. When's the next episode coming out? And I'm like, oh, well, I don't really know. And they're like, oh, I mean, I liked it and everything, but I mean, I just totally want to know what happens next. And I was like, oh, okay. Then I thought about it. I was like, okay. So literally every time I watch a new show, the first episode is almost never like, this is the most amazing thing ever. There's definitely times where I know, like, okay, this is going to be a pretty funny, entertaining show, and I'm stoked about it. But any show that is built around a whole story, like the idea is putting the first season is going to be 6 episodes, and I have them mapped out in my head. And any show that starts with a series, first episode, you immediately want to watch the next episode, and that's when you start to actually get into it. Is like, okay, are they actually going somewhere with this? And then it turns out they are. Now, the second episode of my show, you're going to be able to tell that I'm going somewhere, because you're going to realize some stuff that will make sense. Like, it'll be like, oh, but the third episode is where it's going to be like, oh, okay, I actually am starting to get a much better idea where Prince of Queens is going with this. And then I think people are going to be really, really stoked about the last 3 episodes of the first season. Like, they're going to really want to see them. That is just my theory, because I mean, the first one is just kind of an opener. Like, it's not, people I think are getting the impression that it's kind of like, I'm just gonna have little skit videos and it's like up the end, blah 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 blah. But no, it's to be continued for a reason. Like, it's gonna go somewhere. So hope that you guys can, I get to do number 3, because that's going to be when Wrath will come on. He's supposed to be playing libertarian moderate type guy, because I'm
So
gonna
not quite Wrath as himself, but pretty fucking close.
Yeah, not completely dissimilar to what he's actually like. So, okay, well, thank you a whole bunch for tuning in, everybody, and I'm going to end the stream now. I will talk to everybody later, and I'll be releasing my endgame video either very late at night or probably tomorrow morning. Okay, bye.